Some deaths are mourned before they are confirmed. Others are created deliberately. Welcome back to Silk and Steel Stories. What we were told to be. Chapter 4. Lorenzo received the call 32 minutes after Lena's vehicle disappeared from the mountain road. He answered immediately. Matteo's voice came calm through the line. "It's done." Outside the estate, snow-covered wind moved quietly through the dark hills, while wedding guests continued leaving beneath glowing lanterns. Somewhere behind Lorenzo, music still played faintly inside the women's halls, as though nothing had changed. As though Lena Mirzai had not vanished less than an hour ago. Lorenzo stood beside one of the outer marble balconies overlooking the lower courtyard. His expression never shifted. "Any complications?" he asked. "None so far." A pause. "Her brothers haven't noticed yet." "Good." Lorenzo lowered his eyes toward the crowded driveway below. Hamza Mirzai stood near the entrance, speaking to several older men, while Adil helped move luggage between vehicles. Zayan laughed at something one of the younger cousins said beside him. Normal, completely normal. None of them knew Lena was already gone. None of them knew the vehicle, now driving through the mountain roads, no longer contained the people they believed inside. For a brief moment, Lorenzo said nothing. Then quietly, "The cliff? Everything prepared. And the bodies, placed already." Lorenzo's jaw tightened slightly, not from hesitation, from calculation. The plan depended on speed now, because once the crash happened, every second afterward would become dangerous. "You should leave before police arrive," Matteo continued. "I'm coming there." Silence answered him briefly. Then Matteo sighed softly. "That's a mistake." "Maybe." "But you'll make it anyway." Lorenzo ended the call without answering. Behind him, voices echoed through the corridor entrance as several men exited the main hall. Guests, family friends, business associates. One of them stopped after recognizing him. "Ayan?" Lorenzo turned calmly. Rumi's uncle approached with visible confusion. "Someone said there's been an accident near the South Road." The word spread quickly after that. Fast enough to poison the entire atmosphere within minutes. Questions started immediately. Which vehicle? Who was inside? Was everyone safe? Lorenzo moved with the crowd toward the lower courtyard as more phones rang across the estate. And then he saw Hamza receive the call. Everything changed instantly. Hamza's expression emptied completely before hardening into something violent enough to silence the men around him. "What?" His voice came dangerously quiet. Then louder. "What do you mean her car disappeared?" Nearby conversation stopped entirely. Adil turned immediately. Zayan stepped closer. "What happened?" he demanded. Hamza was already moving toward the vehicles. Fast. Too fast. Rumi's father grabbed his arm sharply before he could reach the driver's side door. "Wait. Move. You're not driving like this. My sister is missing." The roar echoed across the courtyard. Women inside the entrance gasped openly. Adil looked pale now. "What happened?" he repeated again. Hamza dragged a hand through his hair violently. "They lost contact with Lena's car near the mountain road." For one brief second, pure silence spread through the estate. Then panic exploded. Lorenzo remained near the back of the gathering, watching everything carefully while guests began speaking over one another. Some immediately started calling relatives already on the roads. Others rushed toward vehicles. And somewhere inside, all the Kayoshe noticed something dangerous. Farzana Mirzai had not heard yet. Good. because once Lena's mother learned nothing would remain controlled. "We're going," Hamza snapped. Rumi's father nodded immediately this time. "I'm coming too." Within minutes, vehicles rushed away from the estate toward the mountain roads. Lorenzo entered the last SUV beside Matteo without speaking. The drive passed mostly in silence. Outside the windows, darkness swallowed the cliffs, while distant headlights curved dangerously through the narrow roads ahead. Matteo finally looked toward him. "She woke up." Lorenzo's gaze shifted immediately. "When?" 10 minutes ago." Fear moved briefly beneath his ribs before disappearing again beneath discipline. "And?" She panicked. Of course she did. Lena had probably realized immediately this was no random accident. "She's safe," Matteo added quietly. The word safe felt almost ironic now. Because nothing about tonight was safe anymore. Not for Lena, not for the Mirzais, and not for Lorenzo once the truth eventually surfaced. Ahead, flashing emergency lights suddenly appeared through the darkness. The crash site. Vehicles slowed quickly as smoke drifted upward beyond the roadside barriers. The moment Hamza exited his vehicle, he nearly reached the cliff edge before 3 men stopped him. "Let me go!" His voice broke violently across the freezing air. Below them, far beneath the mountain road-burning wreckage, rested against black stone. The SUV had fallen almost completely vertical after impact. Police officers moved around the area, while emergency responders shouted instructions near the edge. Lorenzo stepped out slowly beside Matteo, controlled, unreadable, invisible. That was what years inside his world taught men like him. Disappear emotionally before situations become dangerous. But then he heard Yahya crying, young, terrified. And suddenly Lorenzo remembered Lena describing her youngest brother years ago with quiet affection while studying beside him at the language center. "He cries too easily," she once said, "but he's still my favorite." The memory struck harder than expected. A rescue worker climbed back toward the roadside moments later. His expression already answered enough. "We found 2 bodies inside the vehicle." Everything shattered after that. Yahya collapsed immediately beside one of the cars. Adil turned away sharply, pressing both hands against the back of his neck while breathing unevenly. Zion swore violently under his breath before kicking the roadside barrier hard enough to dent metal, and Hamza looked ready to kill someone. "No," his voice came low, dangerous. "No, bring them up." "Sir, bring them up." Several officers moved immediately. Nearby, guests from the wedding whispered prayers through tears while others stared toward the cliffs below in complete shock. Lorenzo remained perfectly still. Because grief looked different on dangerous men. Quieter, colder, more terrifying. Matteo stepped beside him carefully. "The bodies burned enough." Lorenzo didn't answer. "They won't question identification immediately," Matteo continued quietly. Still nothing. Then finally, "You made sure." Matteo understood the question instantly. "Yes." Same clothing, same jewelry placement, same height, enough damage to stop deeper inspection tonight. Lorenzo stared toward the cliff silently while emergency lights reflected across the snow-dark mountains around them. Below the wreckage, 2 strangers now carried Lena and Samina's deaths publicly. And somewhere far away from this road, Lena was alive, frightened, locked inside a room she did not understand. Exactly where Lorenzo needed her to be,